Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Mutant deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck is an extremely interesting deck that I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in this build for you guys. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification button notification squad, and definitely check the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like your name, scripture, in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Mutant MO5. This card is definitely a 3 of in the build, and one of the most powerful summons in the entire deck is that this card is normal or special summon. You can actually add a mutant monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. This card also has the ability to contribute this card and then banish a card from your hand or face up on your side of the field, and then special summon a monster from your hand or deck based on what you banished. If you banish a monster, you get to summon Mutant Beast. If you banish a spell, it's Mutant Mist. And if you banish a trap, you get to summon Mutant Arsenal, which is awesome to instantly get a boss monster out on your side of the field using this card's effect. We then play 3 copies of ST46. ST46 is definitely a 3 of in this deck. This card has the ability of its normal or special summon. You can add a mutant spell or trap from your deck to your hand, instantly getting the exact card that you need. And then it shares the exact same effect as MO5, that you can tribute this card, banish a card from your hand or face up in the field, and then special summon the exact mutant that you want based on what you banish, which is a great ability. Fun fact about these cards, ST actually stands for spell traps, because this card actually searches spells and traps, and MO5 actually stands for monster because it searches monsters. We then play 2 copies of Mutant. This card is a great extender in the deck, but you only need 2 copies of it. This card has the ability, if you control a mutant card, you can special summon this card from the hand. You can also tribute this card and then banish a mutant card from your hand or deck, and then special summon a monster from your hand or deck based on what you banish, but you lose life points equal to the special summon monster's original attack, which is a great effect to instantly get one of our mutant boss monsters on our side of the field off this card's effect. We then play 2 copies of Mutant Beast. Mutant Beast is a really cool card to be able to summon out, and one of the best mutant cards to summon off of any of our small mutant cards effects. This card has the ability it cannot be special summoned except with the effect of a mutant card. Your opponent cannot target this card with monster effects, and you only use the following effects this card once per turn: that when your opponent activates a spell or effect, quick effect, banish a card from your hand or field to negate the activation if you banish that card, which is great. This card is a walking negate for spells. This card also has the ability, if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can actually target a banished mutant trap and add it back to your hand. With my single copy of Mutant Mist. Mutant Mist is really cool as a 1 of in the build, but you only need a single copy of this card. It cannot be special summoned except by the effect of a mutant card, and your opponent cannot target this card with spell effects. And this card also has the ability when your opponent activates a trap card or effect, quick effect, you can actually banish a card from your hand or field and then draw 2 cards, which is a really cool effect to instantly grab cards out of your deck. This card also has the ability if its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can target a banished mutant monster and add it back to your hand. We then play a single copy of Mutant Arsenal. Arsenal is an awesome boss monster in this deck that comes out absolutely massive at 3,000 attack points, and it has the ability that your opponent cannot target this card with trap effects. And also when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish a card from your hand or field and target 1 monster on the field and banish it, which is a really cool effect to instantly spot remove a card. Also, if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can actually target a banished mutant spell and add it back to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Kashtira Unicorn. The Kashtira cards work so well in this deck, so this card is definitely a 3-of. It's a free special summon, can search out your copy of Birth from your deck to your hand, and also can help you rip cards out of your opponent's extract, because this card has the ability that if your opponent, or when this card declares an attack, or if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can look at your opponent's extract, and if you do, banish a card from it face down, which is so cool to deal with the boss monster before it even leaves the extract. But this card is great to be able to instantly search out your copy of Birth from your deck to your hand, and then once you do, you can actually summon out one of your other mutant monsters, and once you do that, you can actually use Unicorn as the cost to be able to summon out one of the big mutant monsters to your side of the field, which is great to be able to do because Birth will just bring it back to your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Kashtira Fenrir. Fenrir is really good because this card spot remove cards off the field. It's a free special summon, which is awesome, and also it helps you add another Kashtira monster directly from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to use to pay cost to be able to summon out your mutant boss monsters using your small mutant monsters. We then play 2 copies of Corridor. Corridor is great as a 2 in the deck to help us summon out our copy of Thunder Dragon Colossus to our side of the field, as this card lets us target a banished monster except a copy of Corridor, special summon this card in the hand, and if you do, special summon or shuffle that target back in the deck, and then it also lets you target one of your banished nemesis monsters and add it back to your hand, which is a great effect, but the reason we play this is so we can summon out our copy of Colossus. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's definitely a 3 out in the build to basically just stop the opponent from touching the deck. We can also play 3 copies of Shifter because Shifter is just so good in this build to basically just drop this card and instantly win a game because we don't really mind if our cards get banished. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good as a 1-of in the build to basically just use this card to stop your opponent's hand traps. We then play a single copy of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is great in this deck as a 1-of, just basically helps dig into the deck. We then play a single copy of Mutant Fusion. Mutant Fusion is great in this build as a 1-of because this card has a really cool effect. It lets you fusion summon a Mutant Fusion monster from your egg deck by banishing the fusion material listed on it from the hand or the field. If your opponent has activated a card or effect this turn, you can actually use up to 1 monster each from your deck and graveyard as the fusion materials, which is really cool to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of Evolution Lab. Evolution Lab is great as a 1-of in the build as well because this card is when this card is activated, you can actually special summon one of your level 4 lower mutant monsters from your hand or that's banished, and mutant monsters you control gain 100 attack for each of your banished mutant cards with different names. And once per turn, during the main phase, you can actually place a mutant monster from your hand on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, draw a card because you don't want any of your high level mutant monsters in your hand. We then play a single copy of Kashtira Birth. Kashtira Birth is great as a 1 of the build to be able to search off your copy of Unicorn, and it's overall a fantastic card in this build because it helps you bring back your copies of Kashtira monsters from your graveyard or banish them to basically just constantly bring them back to your side of the field. And this card can also you control the graveyard because if you control a Kashtira monster and your opponent activates a spell or effect, you can actually banish 3 cards from your opponent's graveyard, which is awesome, and it also helps you normal summon your Kashtira monsters to your side of the field without tributing. We then play 3 copies of E-Telly. E-Telly is great because all of our small mutant monsters are actually psychic, so it works really well in the deck to basically just instantly special summon one of them to our side of the field, let their effects go off, and just go in for our plays. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with 2 copies of Mutant Cry. Mutant Cry is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card helps us fusion summon, because during the main phase you can actually fusion summon a mutant fusion monster from your X deck by shuffling its fusion materials listed on it from the deck among cards from the field and in your graveyard and or face up banish cards, which is a great effect to be able to use to instantly recycle your resources while also getting out a copy of one of our boss monsters. We then play 2 copies of Expansion. Expansion is really cool as a 2-of in the build, and I really like this card overall in the deck because it helps out a lot in this build, as when this card is activated, you can actually take a level 4 lower mutant monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it, which is basically a trap version of E-Telly. And if a level 8 or higher mutant monster you control would leave the field because it's going to be destroyed by a card effect, you can actually banish this card that you control instead, which gives you a little bit of protection for your big mutant monsters. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is really good in this deck as a 3-of to basically just stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with our main boss monster, Mutant Synthesis. This card is really good as a 2-of in the deck, and it's super easy to summon out to her side of the field. I feel like 3 copies is just a little bit too much in this deck, because I only ever find myself going into 2. This card is really cool because if it's fusion summoned, you can actually target a card on the field and destroy it, and when your opponent activates a card effect, quick effect, you can activate this effect that for the rest of the turn, this face-up card is unaffected by the effects of your opponent's cards with the same type, monster, spell, or trap as that card, which is a really cool ability to be able to use. We then might assume a copy of Ultimus. Ultimus doesn't come up that much. It comes up every so often, but it's basically a walking Makaba, which is really cool, but it does require level 8 or higher immune monsters to make this card, which again, doesn't come up that much, but you play it in the extract because it's a good option to be able to make. We may assume a copy of Colossus. Colossus is just so cool to be able to make in this build, as you make with your copy of Corridor extremely easily. All you have to do is basically return a banished card, and then summon out Corridor, treat it, and summon out Colossus. You then play a single copy of 38. 38's really good to be able to make as a spell negate, which is just so cool to be able to do. 1 copy of Dingirsu, because when it's summoned, it also spot removes a card off the field. Play a single copy of Zeus, just to help you board wipe the field, and you usually make this on top of your copy of your Dingirsu. We then play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon belongs in just about every single extract. It's just such an important card to be able to make in this deck, just in case you go second. It's a bounce, and it's basically a skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack point monsters, which is really cool. Play a single copy of Underworld Goddess, just in case we need to out a Towers-like boss monster. 1 copy of Axis Code, because it comes out absolutely massive and can pop multiple cards on the field. 1 copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. It's very easy to make this card in the deck, and it's a really cool card overall, because if this card is link summoned using a level 7 or higher monster as a material, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either, and when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can activate one of these effects to either let this card gain 1,500 attack points permanently, it can make a second attack during the following battle phase of the next turn, or non-targeting, banish a card off the field, which is an insane ability. We play a single copy of Unicorn to spin stuff, 1 copy of SP because this card is basically a double interaction, which is so cool to be able to do. Play a single copy of IP so we can make SP, or a copy of Unicorn, or even Underworld Goddess during the opponent's turn. We then play a single copy of Cross Sheet because we do fusion summon quite a lot in this deck, and this card helps us bring a monster back from the grave to our side of the field, so we can basically go in for our link plays. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is so fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Mutant deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, because it's really fun to be able to play, and it's an amazing deck, especially if you include the Cashier cards, because they make it so you can pay cost, and also they're just really good cards overall. So that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.